Hi, Karen with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a scrapbook layout for Kitaholic Kits, and this is for the November 2022 kit. And if you're a subby or you've got this month's kit, I hope you're having a great time creating. I know I certainly did. And this layout is no exception. I am doing pattern paper, I am using the stickers, I'm using florals, and I'm also going mixed media for my background as well. My photo today is what has inspired me to go for a bit of a nature type theme today. So I'm working on using some of the browns and the green pattern paper that we got. Now, I don't normally use brown, but today I thought it was a perfect way to use up that pattern paper. It's certainly not a colour that I have in my stash very much. I did have a look and there is basically no brown in my stash. So I thought this was a great way to use up that pattern paper from the collection. So I'm just working here on just doing some paper tearing, and I'm going to layer those across the page to sit underneath the photo. So my background today, I have put clear gesso on my white cardstock, and I am using the gorgeous metallic paints that we got this month. Oh, they're so beautiful to use. I absolutely love them. And I'm using here, the gold is called Sunset Gold, and I did use the packaging technique to layer that onto the page. I did add a little bit of water, and I also do come in with my brush. I heavily painted my brush with some water just to allow the movement of that acrylic paint around the page. And with the purpley colour, that is called Halo Violet Gold. I mean, it's just stunning. And I smushed that onto the page, actually just directly onto the page, added some water and used my brush just to smush that around the page. So nothing too difficult. It was super simple to do this one. I did dry it off slightly with my heat gun tool because I'm extremely impatient, and I did come in with some tissue as well just to manage some of the final drying off period of that. Now, with seeing that is a metallic-y, acrylic type paint, it can blister with your heat gun. So if you don't want that look, make sure you dry it naturally. It didn't bother me for this one. I didn't get a lot of bubbling anyway because it was relatively dry when I put the heat gun to it. But I thought it would go quite well with the edginess and the earthiness what I was going for with the layout anyway. Now, I have used a little bit of product from my own personal stash as well here this month, just to actually give a little bit of an additional touch to the background. And this is just a stamp from my stash, and I'm using Distress Oxide there in what's it called? It's the Citron colour. I think it's Twisted Citron, I think. And that's a lovely vibrant green, which I thought paired beautifully with that pattern paper from the print shop collection from Vicky Booten. So I'm just ruffling up the edge, and that's pretty much all I do in the on the background. At this stage, I'm thinking I'm pretty comfortable and pretty happy with that, where that's going. I've got that subtle touch of the purple that I think's working really well with the gold and the green. And then I'm just going to add my layers to the page. And like I mentioned before, I'm going full on nature for this one. So I've used quite a number of the sticker pieces from the Simple Story sticker sheet. And what I did stick them down onto just some random cardstock because I wasn't quite sure where I was going to sit everything. And I fussy cut those pieces out so I can move them around the page. Now, I've gone quite cluster heavy on the right-hand side of the layout, which, to be honest, if I'm going to be completely frank, that is pretty much my stock standard. I love a big cluster that's nice and full with leaves and florals, and I really love to be able to anchor a cluster on the page that way. So then with my title pieces, I'm starting to think about what I want to do here. I also want to, because I've got quite a lot of blank space on this photo, I can also utilize the photo area for some of the cluster work as well. So what I do here is allow some of the clusters and florals and some of the sort of semi-title pieces to overlap onto the photo. Now, I also felt that the photo was getting a little bit lost on the background, and because I was making it quite busy in terms of the clusters, I am layering in here and doing a photo mat. Again, not very often that I do a white photo mat. I often do pattern paper, but I really felt that white was the best way to go here, to allow that photo to take and pop off the page. So you'll see what I was talking about there with that title piece on the left-hand side. I can really feel that I can pop that straight over the photo there. And also on the right-hand side, those trees, I can layer that across the photo as well. And I really like how that turned out. So it allows for the clustering. For me, for this particular layout, this is almost not working on the rule of thirds that I often work in. I'm allowing the clusters and the title pieces to really surround the photo. So when I'm looking at this now as I'm walking myself through this, I feel like I've actually done almost a wreath around the layout, which was not what I intended to do, but it has certainly turned that way as I'm working through here, adding in my pieces such as these beautifully large leaf fronds and leaf components. And then and that's really where that came from. So the title that I added in here as well is Capture the Moment. I love this font of the moment section, so I really wanted to use that. So I had moment there at one stage, but it was just not quite right. So I really loved Capture the Moment. I really felt that that captured this whole photo piece as well. This photo is of my nephew Oscar from a very long time ago, off wandering in a park on his own. So I just, it really sort of sung to me, those title pieces from the title sticker sheet. So the one thing I also felt, just to finish off the layout, I needed a little bit of colour at the top and at the bottom hand side, just to anchor the page a little bit. So I just cut off a small strip of the green pattern paper and then curled up the white cardstock. Just as simple as that. I didn't add anything else onto that. I didn't feel that it needed anything else. And that I do add in a few of, I fussy cut out some of those gorgeous butterflies. I mean, what's a Karen layout without a butterfly? I loved those little butterflies, and I really was able to tone in. So this explains the purple as well, because I used the purple flowers from the ephemera kit as well. And I really love how this one turned out. I was super, super happy with it. And that pretty much finishes my layout. As always, I will make sure I pop in the description box below all the details of where you can get this month's kit. I believe there are still some, at the time I'm recording this, there are still some available. And I hope if you get a chance, absolutely pop into the store and have a look and see what's available. I would strongly encourage you to get the, I think I said this in my last vid, I would strongly encourage you to think about getting the mixed media kit if you don't already have that. It is just stunning this month. And to give a little bit more of the organic feel, my last piece of resistance, I guess, to the page is just adding in some of the wood veneer hearts. And because I still, like I mentioned before, had some of that space on the photo, I was able to put that little cluster there, and I added some of the hearts from the sticker sheet as well. And I did finish off with some gold splattering around the page, just with some ink spray from my stash. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you spending some creative time with me. I hope I've given you a little bit of inspiration to kick into gear if you haven't started on your kit this month. As always, I will leave, I think I mentioned, I will leave in the description box below all the information. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye for now.